Just here doing another sea watch at sunset and a catch up. Finally went on the whale watching trip, and it was £50 each. You get a buffet, cold meats and some quiche and things like that, hummus, unlimited drinks. The more you pay, the better boat you get, the fewer people. We saw boats rammed with, look, 100 people. I think our boat was maximum 24. I'll put the link to our one in the description, and it was a 4.8 out of 5, something like 1,000 or so reviews, so you knew it was good. You could rely on it. And there were smaller boats, you pay a bit extra. So like I say, the more money you pay, the fewer people you have to get on the boat with, and you get to the side of the boat and take photos of the whales and anything you see much easier. All we saw were, we saw dozens of pilot whales, which is a first for us. We'd never seen pilot whales. And I wanted to see humpbacks, but we were told you've probably seen a humpback once in the last year. So I just said, okay, we're going to have to go to the west coast, back to the west coast of America for that. But it was really good. I was a little bit disappointed with the seabird. I mean, just looking at the birds out here, like I did recently, the fulmars, not the fulmars, they look like fulmars because of the nose. The Cory Shearwater, I only saw a handful of them, and they were at a distance. Only a couple of usable photos, unfortunately. And yeah, but the pilot whales was good. It was not a wasted trip. And I will say to people, if you go on these boats, the water wasn't even that bad, and a lot of people were being sick. So if you can, try and take some motion sickness medication. I take something called Stugron. You can buy it at Boots. I think it's like £4.50 or something now. But it's a lifesaver for me because I have really, really bad motion sickness, and I was solid as a rock as per usual. I've been taking it for over 20 years. So yeah, motion sickness medication. Probably don't eat a big breakfast before you go. Take some ginger, as much as as advice as I can give you. So after the trip, I dropped my wife off because she'd had enough of the day, and I went for a little explore. I just followed my nose. I went back to the golf course to see, after we had the stormy weather, would it be any good without that stormy weather? I saw nothing, except on the way in, there's this little, I don't know, reservoir of water, and in there are a couple of mallards, few pairs of mallards, and some of the Muscovy ducks. If you're wondering what Muscovy ducks are, I think they're originally domesticated and then released, and they're bred everywhere from the Caribbean all the way into the Mediterranean. So they breed in the wild now. I mean, when I was in Madeira, in the Portuguese island, I saw the little chicks. So they breed everywhere. Carried on down towards the golf course, and I mean, some good pictures of Bertholot's pipits. That's about it. But I didn't see the Barbary partridge again. Nothing on the grass. It was windy. That could have been a factor. But that golf course doesn't seem to be very good for birds. I went onto that loop road that I went down the first day, where I found the grey shrike. Wasn't there. I waited for a while and didn't see it. So I don't know if that was its stronghold, or I just needed to stick around longer. But I had other things to do. So carried on round, and what I did is I crossed the dual carriageway, just followed my nose up into the mountains, not too far. And I was going through this little village and just saw a blackbird singing on a post, so I stopped and filmed that. And as I was out of the cab, I didn't see it, I heard the call, looked around, it was a common buzzard in the distance. So they are down this way as well, not just in the northwest where I saw them last time. And then driving through this little village, I saw a sign that said Las Vegas, 3 kilometers. And I thought, you know what? Let's go. I could probably make some silly joke afterwards, standing next to the sign or something, you know, like, oh, this isn't, you know, the place where what stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, something silly like that. Anyway, we headed that way. I thought, other than that, it did feel like it was a kind of a dead end trip, like I wasn't going to get anything. But my nose proved correct once again. So as we approached this Las Vegas, I took a picture with a sign, wanting to use it possibly as a thumbnail for YouTube. Did some silly pointing thing at it. And there's some picnic tables like there was at Las Lajas, where we saw the blue chaffinch. And there was a sign, a bird sign by the picnic area They obviously like picnic areas because it does say on this sign that they do frequent here as well. Didn't see any, I did have a look, but there were a family down there which might have scared them off if there were any. And then I don't know if I heard it straight away or if it just took a second to register. I heard the unmistakable purring of turtle doves. Lots of trees. I searched and searched and searched, couldn't find it. Thankfully there was can you see it from here? There's a tree like this, and it was on this tree with no leaves on it, luckily, and the wind was low enough. There's a little bit of camera shake. I put it on the 4K crop, which I'll keep repeating, gives you about 2300 millimeters. I filmed it handheld at first. The rules are just in case it flies off while I'm trying to set the tripod up, and then went to the 4K crop and got it purring. Luckily this village is pretty quiet, so it was recorded really well. Lovely, with a tiny bit of wind shake. Super happy with that. There were blackbirds, chiff-chaffs, and the African blue tit. Now, I've checked the African blue tit song on the BirdNet app. It's coming up African blue tit, not canary blue tit. So I don't know what you're supposed to call it. What's the politically correct thing to call it? Don't know. So I thought I'd head into the village a bit further and didn't realise it's really just a dead end. I went one way and thought, wait a minute, I'm going down a one-way street. And then I turned left down this other street that looked nice. I thought I'll film myself driving through the village, and then it was like, whoa, that's just going off down the mountain. So this is it. This village is just a small row of buildings, houses. So I reversed out and I could hear the turtle dove calling again, and I could see birds flying around. So I thought I'll get out and on foot and just hang around. And there were these Atlantic canaries going in and out of gardens. So I did get some footage, and they wouldn't come too close. They were flitting around in the trees, in the bushes, and around this fencing, and dogs constantly barking in the back, which was ruining my audio. And then I heard the purring really loudly further down. It was on an electrical wire, a telephone wire. It was electric, they're pylons, aren't they? Further down, 4K crop on. And I got it preening. A little bit of camera shake because of the distance, but pretty beautiful. At one point it was flying towards me, and like a dumb idiot, I was staring at it, and it flew past me and went, hello, flight shots, where's your reactions? So it landed on the pylon behind me, which didn't make for any kind of good photos. It flew back and landed, and I'll show you them, I'll put them up on the screen. Let me just stand here. I'll put them up on the screen here and just show you it coming in to land. They're not keepers, they're just to show you. It did land on the wire. And then, yeah, that was it. So, I mean, I got my, let me just check up on my notes. The Canaries, yeah, flight shots filmed. So yeah, I mean, that was a great little place. Las Vegas, my nose took me. There were at least two, I'm sure, that when I filmed the one on the tree, I could hear one sort of mid-distance at 12 o'clock and a one to my right. So probably three. So that was Las Vegas for turtle dove. There you go. The reason I sort of roughly headed that way was on eBird. I did notice that somebody said they'd seen a turtle dove on the north side of this carriageway that runs around the island on our side, on the north side. So needle in a haystack. I thought I'd drive that way and see what's in there to get away from the windy coast, because the wind did calm right down when I got in there. So excellent. That's brilliant. I'm really increasing my species count. I looked on all the birding sites for things you could see, and some of these birds I've been seeing aren't getting noted. So I'm doing pretty well for Tenerife. Today we did the westernmost point of the island, the smaller mountains and cliffs, but almost more spectacular than in the center. We've not been there before, so I looked, you can see from a distance that it's not as high as the center of the island. So it wasn't going to be very, very windy going up. But I will say, I warn you, if you have a big car, I wish I had a Cinquecento, because the roads going up from the south part to the north into the middle, it becomes 2 lanes on the northern side once you're over the mountains. But before then, it gets very, very tight, and a lot of van drivers, and there's some coaches going, they must be nuts. And we passed this viewpoint called Masca, where we stopped for some photos, and I'm getting photos for my thumbnails. They're going to be some nice ones, folks. And because I usually just take stills from the video, but it'd be nice to set ones up specifically for thumbnails. And I did a sweep of the cliffs. We're very lucky today with the weather. There were no clouds to start with. They sort of came in later, but when we came out of our apartment and looked at the mountains usually attract the clouds, but there were none. So when we got there, it was crystal clear, perfect for video and photography of the mountains and the cliffs. Moved up, and we were like, we wanted to have a drink, a coffee, and I said, I want a place with a viewpoint, looking at the mountains to enjoy my coffee, because we passed a couple of places where you would have to walk down. And I said, no, I know exactly what I want, and I'm going to wait and see. And sure enough, the next place we came to, which is called Mirador La Cruz de Hilda. Beautiful cafe. Now, when you go to a place like this, you think, oh, they've got the business tied up. They're going to give you rubbish stuff. The coffee's going to be weak. Nope, it was as good as it's ever going to be. And we were just in heaven. Perfect coffee. There's a gift shop, and you buy some cakes, and my wife had some apple crumble. And I was just loving, it's one of those times when you don't even look at your phone. You can see people looking at their phone, but I was just staring at the mountains constantly, my head back and front. And as I was sitting there, I could see swifts. And I thought, why not? So I picked my camera up and got what photos I could, a little bit of practice. And there were the umbrellas everywhere. So it was catching, as the swifts flew over, they did disappear behind them. And I got what I could. None of these are keepers, but I'll put them off to the right here, to the right of me, here. You know, I mean, they're exposed okay, but the heat haze in the distance, they're just not keepers. Also, there are a couple of ravens that must be territorial up there. Blue tits coming down to feed on scraps. I saw a buzzard in the cliff side, where it must nest, and this passing kestrel. Again, I'm not going to keep these photos, but they're just for reference, for records. Carried on round, and just as the clouds started to happen, I took some more thumbnail photos and sweeps of video. Just, I mean, the water, the mist coming in, it was just so cooling, refreshing. Yeah, you have to come to this part of the island. I think we've stayed in the south near the airport. Next time, we know now the north is more lush, like with that botanical garden. We're going to come back to the north next time, much more refreshing. You might be, I mean, look at this. So right at the moment, we're in Buena Vista del Norte. And I saw the golf course, and I said, golf courses, we're going to check this one out. The one in the south wasn't good for birds. We're going to come down to the golf course and look for birds. And driving in, you can look right over the golf course and the grass. No birds. There you go. And we came down to the beach. It's all like this, very rocky, but beautiful, stunning. And walked along the front, and the only thing I could see, I caught a whimbrel, and just as I started filming, it caught a little crab. Perfect timing. Whimbrels, they're everywhere. I wonder if it's that same one from my side of the island, and it just does laps of the island, because we had some dinner at this restaurant here, El Burgado. Only a 3.8, but it's the only restaurant here, and it's the only restaurant with a view. So we just had it. I mean, it was a 3.8 out of 5. It was passable. You know, steak was just fried in a pan, probably frozen, and everything took ages to come from the food to the bill. I had to ask them twice. But again, they've got it wrapped up. When a restaurant or a cafe has something wrapped up, generally they're not going to be the best because they don't have to try too hard. But it filled us up, and we've come for a walk along the front, on the waterfront, in front of the golf courses. I've got another angle from the golf courses here, but the only thing in there must be the same whimbrel. It came up and it's now feeding on the grass. And I've had a look for some hoopoe. No, nothing. The golf course stretches for many, many acres. You can see it up there. Goes all the way inland, different sections, but no birds. I'm sure I've just seen some of the Atlantic canaries bolting about and the odd chiff-chaff. So not great for birds here. Maybe you have to go a bit more inland. But we came through the villages. I left the window open in the car and listened, and nothing. So yeah, we're wrapping up the holiday now, and it's quiet. Like I say, I expected it to be like this. It's the same sort of 5 or 6 birds: blackbird, chiff-chaff, blue tit, Atlantic canary, the odd raven, and the yellow-legged gull everywhere. So, but I expected it. I'm just enjoying the holiday. It's a little bit of both, something for each of us, and I kind of like the challenge of a hard birding area where you really have to work hard to get your birds. And we'll be coming back here for sure. There's so much more to explore. I think I'll get more next time. Right, that is a successful wrap of another holiday. First time in Tenerife doing bird watching, my second trip here ever. Left the golf course yesterday in the north, and there are kestrels everywhere. Just took a brief bit of footage out the window of this one. It wouldn't turn its back. It wouldn't turn around to give me its face. It was obviously hunting lizards. There are so many. Everywhere you walk, you just hear scuttle, scuttle, scuttle. Loads of lizards. I'll finish up just yesterday before I get onto this. And then the canaries, the Atlantic canaries, they make a song like a goldfinch, European goldfinch. And I'm surprised there are no European goldfinch here that I've seen. And I didn't see any Atlantic canaries in Fuerteventura. Very, very odd. I mean, it's just like across the water. Just obviously they like to just stay here. They might be in the other islands like Gran Canaria, but I won't know until I get over there. So today, this place is called Abades, I believe, if that pronunciation is correct. It's near the airport. We're about 15 minutes away, and I just wanted a nice big protein meal before the airport, where we're restricted to sort of like sandwiches and carby stuff. Had this lovely steak, and they only had, I actually wanted the pork tenderloin, but they didn't have it. So I went pork tenderloin and steak, and luckily it all came out cut up. So we shared it. And well, just as I've finished and relaxing, my wife says, "Oh, you've got a little friend." Now, there are lots of collared doves everywhere. So I just assumed one of the collared doves or feral pigeons had wandered under my seat. But this female sparrow, Spanish sparrow, landed right next to the meat tray. So I thought, right, that's really tame. It should eat out my hand. So I broke up some chips, and it was jumping around because the waitress was moving. And then eventually I did stick my hand out behind me. It was very quick. It pounced on my hand and was gone. But great. That's a great little end to the holiday, unless something else pops up on the way to the airport. But the plan was today, we had about 6 hours. We checked out at 11. Our flight is at 7 o'clock. So we had about 5 or 6 hours to kill. And I didn't want to go too far. So I thought we'll go inland where it's cooler because it is warm. I'm doing my vlog in the nice cloudy weather that's just come out. I've timed it for these lovely clouds because I don't like to use suntan lotion. I like to build up what's called a sun callus, exposing yourself to small amounts until you've got a nice tan. I've got some horrendous t-shirt tan, but you're not going to see it because I didn't go swimming. Crossed the I don't know what you call it, dual carriageway, motorway inland towards Las Vegas from my previous vlog. I'd already done Las Vegas, weren't going to do it again. So we went inland and drove around all these little villages where the roads are carved out from these big rocks, and there are all these little caves in the wall. I don't know what they were there for, what they've been built for. I mean, I saw one with an old mattress, so somebody's been sleeping there at some point. But were they used for farming purposes? I don't know, or storage, because those bits certainly weren't natural. They look man-made. First things first, we passed this. I'll put the location up on the map. We passed this farming area which went up in levels. I don't think it's really got a name, but immediately I thought that's got to be a Shrike. It had the black and grey stripes, and try to get into the habit, get the picture from a distance and then get closer. So I got a little closer. I took the picture from the car, and then I parked up and I saw it fly closer into the farm, and I managed to reverse back and get it where it landed out the window. Pretty good. I mean, not on the same par as my Fuerteventura ones, but that's a massive upgrade to the first one I saw on the first day. While we were sitting there, I saw a kestrel with something dangling in its feet, fighting for its life, obviously a lizard. and the Shrike appeared, was too quick. It landed on this electrical box of some type and then flew off into the scrub with a little caterpillar or something. So I think, yeah, that's going to be an area to go and look back for Shrikes, because I found in Fuerteventura they definitely have an area they like to stick around, that territory, and that's good hunting grounds for both the kestrel and the Shrike. All the usuals there. I think the other day we came through that area, saw the Bertholot's pipits. I could hear canaries and the Atlantic canaries. And I mean, most of the stuff here, like I say, I'm just going to do a quick roundup in terms of most of the birds you hear. The small ones are going to be the canary chiffchaff, the Atlantic canary, blackcaps singing quite often through all the little towns and villages, tourist areas. Yeah, or you drive by and you unmistakable call. And the new sound I've learned they make is that sort of clicking, like, I didn't know it was them. I assume they do the same thing when they come to the UK. I'll have to listen out for it now that I know what to listen for. Just be warned, when you go into these villages further inland, the roads get very, very narrow. We had a big vehicle, and the hills you go up are very narrow and the turns are really tight. So you have to be on guard, I'm warning you. And you have to be good at finding your biting point in your first gear to get up these hills. Not for the faint-hearted, but I got used to it. Then we wanted a coffee and I wanted a lookout, but there didn't seem to be any. So I just found a local bar, ordered a couple of takeaway coffees, and up to this courtyard, Plaza de Santa Cruz, a little church at the end. And there were blackcaps singing in the trees and chiffchaff. We just sat there and had our coffee. And the funny thing is that we finished up 10 minutes there. It was a bit chilly up in the mountains. And as soon as we left, a bird flew past me, a wagtail, and it was a grey wagtail. So I filmed it, and it's strange it waited for us to go like that. But there are birds around these areas. You seem to get the grey wagtails further inland, where it's cooler. The last one, remember the ones I got, which were there were two of them. They had grubs. It was further up. We were going to Lajas. I don't know the pronunciation exactly. I presume Lajas, where the blue chaffinch was. But this made me think last night when we went into the mountains, if we wanted to come back to somewhere like the Canaries in the heat of the summer, for some reason it was a good deal, what we probably wouldn't do is we wouldn't stay down close to the sea. We'd actually go into the mountains where it's like 10 or 15 degrees cooler and just, yeah, enjoy the scenery and the forests and everything up there. That's a future possibility. Yeah, if you want to get out of the heat, we're like, oh, let's go somewhere where the sun sets at like 11 p.m. But the Canaries are going to be too hot. No problem. Hire a car, get up into the mountains. No, it's not as good as Fuerteventura for birding. Obviously, no vultures, bustards, the sand grouse, none of that. I mean, there might be here. I don't know. I mean, the closest we got was the Barbary partridge. But I don't think I'm going to do Fuerteventura for a little while. I want to get Gran Canaria done, and possibly Lanzarote, and more of Tenerife. I feel like we've only done about a third of Tenerife. So there's lots to explore. It's cooler, there's bigger towns, there's more woods and forests and roads and villages than there are at Fuerteventura. I mean, Fuerteventura is a unique place. It's lovely if you want lovely beaches, boat rides, etc. You got boat rides here, more chance of seeing something. I think it's more guaranteed here. And the seabirds, if you, I mean, our town, I'm trying to remember what the town we stayed in, I think it's called La Silencio. Whoop, sorry, let me just zoom in. Where were we? Yeah, Costa del Silencio is the area. Sorry, the area we were in, Costa del Silencio. Something to do with silence? I don't know. But remember the 2 sea watches I did at the end of my road where we were staying, it was crazy good for the Cory Shearwater passing, better than being on the boat. But for me, it helps that I had the R7 with the 800mm lens, which gives me an equivalent 2300mm for video. So I was able to film them from the shore and it looked pretty good. But seabird, well, I mean, they said, I've seen various reports that there's good seabird watching here or there. No, like the Gigantes, no. The end of my road was great, the best I've seen. Anyway, that's everything. We are heading for the airport, unless there's some random, little surprise before we get on the plane. That's over and out. Any questions, let me know. Any advice about coming here? It's a good time. It was more of a holiday for both of us to see, and have the sun, the sand, boat rides, food, you know, just enjoying ourselves. Not just birding. I'll do the birding on the side, and I still made the most of it and got some good stuff that I'm happy with. Okay, see you later, folks.